Hi there, I care and you matter. And I'm Shannon and welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about 2 ways I'm helping to encourage myself to get words down on paper, or better said, words typed into my manuscript. And if you're new here, I am an aspiring adult fiction writer. I've been writing in some way, shape, or form, both traditionally published and indie published, for the last 17 years. No, more than that, 19 years. And so fiction is new to me, guys. And when you're doing something new, it can be difficult to keep going because it can be a bit of a stretch, right? It doesn't necessarily feel natural or second nature, right? And so I've come up with some things that I'm doing. I've begged, borrowed, and steal from other people. And I know a lot of people like to keep track of their word counts. And so I've started doing that. And my favorite planner is by Blue Sky. I like the 5.5 by 8.5 size. I like the classic format. But I'm going to show you an empty page right now. But I've just started writing my word counts on each day of the month. And so it's a stretch for me because I don't want to have an empty day in the month, right? Month at a glance. I can see at a glance how many days I wrote out of the month, what was my word total. And right now I'm not focusing on the total amount of words or how many words I get to write down. I'm focusing on not missing a day because for me, life is crazy. Life is busy. And I don't want to, how do I put this? Any number I can write down on a daily basis is a win. It's a win. I don't care if I write 20 words. If I get to write down 20 words on that day, it's a win because sometimes, and I'm sure many of you can relate to this, you get to the end of the day and you think, my God, where did that day go? Where did that day go? But then you sit back and you think, oh wait, yeah, I remember. I may have gotten nothing on my list done, but I could have written a whole entire list of things that I did that I didn't even know was going to pop up that needed my attention more than the stuff I planned to do, which oftentimes is writing. So yeah, that's why the focus is not on the consistency. The focus is on consistency, not total word count. There you go. That's a good way to do it. Consistency wins over, right? Because 1% beats 0% 100% of the time. And so that's what I'm going for. But I didn't want to just have my incentive be a number in a book because I'm not always looking at my monthly spread. Oftentimes the way I use this this planner is, it's usually like this. It's open, one side or the other on my desk, and I carry this around. And this is why I like the size. It fits so easily in my writing bag or even in my purse, because I do a task list for each day. My appointments I write in here, and then I highlight them so they stand out, and then any other tasks that I need to get done. But for that reason, it's rarely open to the monthly spread. And so I wanted to find a way to create an immediately visual reminder of my progress, a way to encourage myself ongoing for the entirety of a book, the entirety of a manuscript writing process. It had to be easy. I wanted it to be fun and tactile and visual. I wanted it to be pretty. It needed to be cheap. And I wanted it to be something that I would just see at all the time walking by, regardless if I was sitting down to write or not, because if I could see it, it would be a visual reminder of my personal goal and keeping that a priority too, right? No matter how busy I get. And so I took a little tip from Sarah Cannon. She has a website, or not website, she has websites too, but she has a channel here on YouTube, Heart Breathings. She writes very different books than I would. In fact, I don't even read the kinds of books that she writes. But I love what she shares about the writing process and the creative pursuit. And so when she does writing retreats or when she sits down to write for a writing sprint, she uses these little acrylic plastic gems. And her goal is to move all the gems, or as many gems as she can, from one mason jar to the other mason jar. And I thought, I bet I could come up with something like that. That would be fun. That'd be tactile. That would be rewarding at the end of a writing sprint each day. That would be fun to see something grow. And so what I did, and you could do this with anything, I went to my local thrift store and I found a really cool glass jar. I think I paid $2 for this. I wanted something that was going to be easy to see through, because I'm going to show you what I put in here in a second. And I wanted it to be able to hold 500 gems that I bought. I'm going to show you those in a second. And so this filled up, gets to about here, to be about 500 gems. And I like it because I had originally purchased some more decorative, like glass vases that were crystal. And I bought a crystal glass in the glassware section. But when the gems went in there, it really, you couldn't see them very well. And the whole point is to see this slowly grow and get bigger and bigger and more full. And I wanted something that looked pretty. This kind of looks like a pirate bottle to me a little bit. I have no idea what it was for. I have no idea. But yeah, it's kind of fun because it's like a funnel almost. But that was a challenge because I had to find something that could fit in this hole, which is probably about an inch in diameter, the opening. So yeah, this sits on the shelf in my studio space where I do all my creative writing. But let me show you what I put in there. Now, first of all, this container I bought years ago. Why did I buy it? Because I love wood. And I don't even know how to say this word. Acacia, Acacia. I love that kind of wood. I love seeing wood grain. I love the dark. I love the little knob here. I bought this container not knowing what I was going to do with it. I just bought it because I loved it. It's solid wood. Yeah, and I've used it to hold, I've left it empty on my desk just because looking at it makes me happy. I used it to hold scrunchies for a while. Sometimes I rarely do that, you guys. I rarely buy things just because I love them. So when I prefer having things that serve a purpose. And when I bought this, it was not to serve a purpose. I bought it just because I love it. But when that happens, it means it's something special. So I've had this for years and haven't been using it. But I thought, aha, I'll use it to hold my gems. So inside, you're going to see 500 really pretty gems. And these are smaller than the gems that Sarah Cannon uses for her purposes. And that's intentional because they have to fit through this hole. And I'm going to put a couple in there just so you can see what it looks like. Now these, granted, I spent a pretty penny on these. But you know what? They're going to last me. They're for a good purpose. And I'm going to use them over and over and over again. Because once I finish one manuscript, I can just dump them back into my little wood container. And then use them over and over again. You could get these in all different colors. I went with this particular kind, this style. They're faceted. Little plastic gems, but they're also painted or coated with this iridescent Aurora Borealis. Oh, the camera is not doing it justice. Aurora Borealis coating. Now, I will say there was a downside to this. They kind of had a smell, and I didn't like it. I fixed it. I just washed them real well in some warm soapy water. I thought, I bet you that might wash the Aurora Borealis coating off, but it didn't, not at all. So you can see how pretty those look. So it's, did I share this in this video? I can't remember. Recently, I sat down over the course of like a week and a half. I wrote 3,000 words in my new book, and I read it out loud to Jason. And first of all, okay, so 3,000, I had 30. Oh, I didn't tell you that. Okay, so my goal is to write a little longer than a novella, but like a 50,000 word book, a novel, fiction. Okay. I don't want to write these massive, boat anchor books. That's just not me. I want to write the kinds of books that I want to read that don't feel overwhelming. There are some people who are just thrilled to find a huge book and just like commit and pour tons and tons of time into it. When I sit down to read, I want an escape. And I don't want it to be some massive time commitment. I believe good stories can be told and not, be huge and long. So my goal is to write adult fiction books that are about 50,000 words. And so I have 500 gems. And so each one of these little stones, when I sit down at the end of a writing sprint, I figure out how much I've written. And then I get to put one gem in for every 100 words I've written. And then by the time all of the gems move from this wood container to this jar, I know that I have reached 50,000 words. It could be a little less, it could be a little more. But if I move all the gems over, that's 50,000 words, and it will fill the jar to about here. So that's my process. And what I love about it, as I was doing this, I had written 30,000, or excuse me, I'd written 3,000 words. I had 30 gems in here. And that's when I decided to read Jason the first 4 chapters that I'd written in this book. And he was encouraging. He said it was great, but it wasn't the kind of story that he would write. So I felt fine taking those ideas and not wanting to waste them. So now I'm starting over, and I had to pour all my gems back into the wood container. Da, 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 da. But I can't tell you how exciting it was to see this grow every single day. And so I'm really excited to fill the jar up for the very first time. But yeah, I wanted to share that idea just because writing words down or your word counts down is great. That's fun. But I wanted a visual. I wanted a visual. I wanted something tangible. And I wanted something that I could see to remind myself of a goal. So this is long term. This is not every writing sprint that it goes away. It stays, both of these stay just like this, side by side, on my bookshelf that's right next to my studio space. And my studio space is my creative space, and that's where I do my creative writing. In this area, this is my closet that I converted into a little office. This is where I do my day job. I do my curriculum writing here. I do my YouTube. Not that you guys aren't creative. You're worth my creative juices too. But this is primarily my business setup. And so these are in my creative area. And one of these days I'm going to give you a bird's eye view of that. And I'm going to give you a little tour because, I can't tell you how wonderful it has been to have a separate creative space. And if you don't have that, I highly recommend it. It doesn't matter what kind of creative you are. Even if, a crafter, if you're a crafter, you know how fun it is to have just a designated crafting space. And so, yeah, I used to call it my analog station, and it is primarily. That's where I sit and I write in my Bible series book or my notebook, where I work on my planner, where I journal. But I also do my creative writing there too, which I really, really, really enjoy. And yeah, so if you're looking for a visual, tangible way to visually watch your manuscript grow over time, I'm going to leave links to link to the gems that I bought down below in case you're curious. And as for a bottle or a container, hey, go to your local thrift store, shop your own house, and go nuts. Just find something that you really love looking at and can be not just decorative, but actually serve that purpose of cheering you on too. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great week, and please consider joining our community here where we talk all things creativity, writing, stationery, and sometimes just talk about life too. Until the next time, have a great week. Bye-bye.